Caesar, I'm back. What's up? Oh, whoa. Whew, you scared me.
What?
You're like kind of in a weird position. I thought you were doing that casting couch thing again. Oh, no. You good. That's only on Tuesdays. Oh, that's right. Anyways, so we got back from America. It was pretty cool. Hold up, hey, real quick. You just got back. You want some water? This is the good shit. I promise. I'm good. You sure? Cause like I've been drinking this water my whole life, and you really can't find this flavor anywhere else. No thanks. But you know what? We should start sending some colonies over. Like America's got a bunch of natives, and we could use some more gladiators. We kind of been, killing all of ours. Plus, you know what? Here's the best part. Luvius and Clarkus. You remember Luvius and Clarkus in America? Like, we found some amazing thotties over there. Like, damn. Okay, this is what I like to hear. Tell me, is there anyone like Cleopatra? Actually, yeah. There's this one girl, Pocahontas. Ooh, man, bro, you gotta meet this girl. I'm sold. You got me. Here, let's get the legions ready. In the morning, I want to be there. Let's have them start building the road straight to dead ass. Perfect. I was getting a little worried there. Like, I wasn't sure if you were down. Like, I'm glad to see that you're actually going through with this, because I didn't really want to stab you, but I mean, I would do it, I have to.
So we're doing another mega campaign, and if you don't know what a mega campaign is, it's basically where we take 5 Paradox games, but it's gonna be one single timeline. We're gonna be starting off in Crusader Kings 2, that's like the medieval era, eventually moving up to the Renaissance, Victorian, and then Hearts of Iron 4 will be the World War II of this universe. That's how we'll see which nation ends up conquering Earth. Finally, in the last game, the winning country will take the human species up into the Milky Way galaxy, where they'll have to deal with aliens and all sorts of other intergalactic things. Now, just because this video is about Rome doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna win here. I can only guarantee that they're gonna colonize America, and I mean, yeah, they'll likely make it to World War II. If you care about spoilers, by the way, be careful going into the comment section. I'm gonna try to keep like vague comments at the top, but just kind of keep that in mind. Now, before we get started here, it's kind of funny that we're focusing on Rome, because in the future, I might be able to do the same mega campaign, but with 6 games. If it's possible, then yeah, I'm gonna do that. It's definitely gonna be in my mind. In my previous mega campaign, I wasn't able to include Crusader Kings 2, which really sucked because we missed out on a lot of huge events like the Viking invasion, the Mongol invasion, the Black Plague, and obviously, we're gonna see a few crusades. Now, a lot of history nerds get these big Byzantine boners, including myself. I love this shit, but keep in mind that this is the Eastern Roman Empire. They call themselves Byzantium, but this is basically Rome. Something else to keep in mind, especially in the very beginning here, is don't get too attached to some of the empires. We're gonna see a lot of places rise and fall. This is the Dark Ages. I think something more important to focus on is culture and religion, because these two things are more than likely to stick around throughout this entire video. Also, Crusader Kings is very character focused, so we're gonna be looking at a lot of leaders. It's kind of the only time we're gonna look at this throughout this old history. Maybe a little bit in Hoi 4 as well. As I said, the first major event will be the Viking invasion. I hope the British Isles are ready. They're probably not. So immediately, West Francia has kind of united all of France and kind of a lot more. But again, they're doomed to have this all come crashing down. All the while, the King of Byzantium has just seduced a maid. Yeah, with an ample bosom to go along with it. Okay. Nice start. Which actually does make a lot of sense, because his wife has been kind of doing the exact opposite. Okay, yeah, this explains a lot. I don't even know what else I expected. This is just gonna be normal, I'm sure. 76-year-old king with his 23-year-old wife. This dude is like 3 times older than her. Oh yeah, we also have to check out the Reconquista, and if that's actually gonna work, obviously that has huge implications. Will the Catholics take back Iberia? Because if not, well, the New World with Spain and Portugal, or whoever takes their place, is gonna have some very different beliefs. We got this Scottish queen that just formed Alba, which I guess is like an old term for Scotland, something like that. She also has territory in Ireland. Okay, you know what? Maybe things went okay against the Vikings. Oh no, a new challenger appears though, a much worse challenger. A challenger that's just gonna kill everyone. Now, that's a really early Mongol invasion, only 850 AD. That's kind of terrifying. I think they're just kind of a field day taking out everyone. I would like to mention that it is totally possible that the Mongols never actually collapse. That is a thing, that they could be this massive empire throughout this entire video. Yeah, that would be absolutely horrible. Again, just about anything can happen in this universe. I know that this is a completely different symbol, but that'd be one hell of a twist. Okay, well, this is interesting and something I did not expect. The Mongols aren't moving towards the west. they actually moved towards the south and took over all of India. Not sure if this is making an impact or not, but Byzantium is moving pretty far towards the northeast. All the way by the Caspian Sea, actually. Oh, good, good. Okay, so the King of Sweden is currently imprisoned. He's also known as the Seducer. Not sure if that has any correlation. But Sweden is not doing very well in general. That's actually great news. I kind of don't want a repeat of last time. Okay, can someone explain to me how the Pope got syphilis, otherwise known as Great Pox? He's 70 years old, by the way. Now that I think about it, I don't even want to know. So this is why I was a little worried to play Crusader Kings 2. These are the current borders of France. It is totally possible that they keep this for a really long time. So I guess some crusades have been going on, judging by this new place that just popped up. Although I don't really know exactly how well they're going. Wow. Okay, so this universe's Mongol invasion decided to stay completely out of Europe, almost, and they've unified Africa. Yeah, what kind of impact is that going to have? Something else we got to keep in mind are the Chinese empires way out here on the edge of the map, because I've seen it before. Sometimes one of these places looks kind of okay in CK2, and then we take it to Europa Universalis, and they're just like by far the most dominant nation. I did also want to point this out just because it's kind of relevant here. We can look at Byzantium's history and see all their former leaders, like from way back in the day. Yeah, I'm sure you'll see a few familiar names here. Disease, for the most part, has kind of been kept under control. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Black Plague probably killed like millions of people, but at least this world's humans haven't gone extinct yet. Whew, oh man, okay, so I got some good news here. The Mongols have kind of collapsed out of India, for the most part at least. I didn't really want to see them just completely dominate for this entire campaign. Then we got this King of France who's doing pretty well. Him and his Jon Snow looking ass. No wife just yet, but I'm sure that'll change. So I think it's safe to say the Reconquista was a massive success. Already this region is almost entirely Catholic, and I don't expect it to change. Well, speaking of religion, Hindu is kind of doing amazing. The Mongols didn't really have much of an impact, which, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know how they got all the way over here to Persia. So here we are at the very end. It's 1444. It's time to take this timeline over to the second game, but it's clear to me that geez, it's going to be a pretty big mess over there. There's going to be a few major players. France, Italy, Iberia is a huge mess, and Alba didn't really hold on to the British Isles. The Mongols do still exist, and of course, their leader is doing his thing, spreading his seed. He's had 76 years to spread his seed, and he's definitely spreading it all right. So we are in EU4. Obviously, the full map has been opened up, and I want to say that this is probably the second most important game, only behind Hoi 4 because that's where we decide a winner. And it's strictly because of colonization. There's going to be a lot of land up for grabs, and this is why some nations are going to start to lead the pack. Now, I realize Europe is just a disgusting mess, and I just got to say, it's only going to get so much worse. Like, a lot of these places are actually on the verge of just complete collapse. Same thing goes for Mongolia. Although Mongolia retained a lot more land than I expected, they were definitely helped out by the converter. But then again, those CK2 borders can be a little misleading. Oh my god. Oh my god. I knew it was going to be bad, but I never expected it to be this bad. Okay, well now the entire continent of Europe is led by herpes. Which, who knows? I mean, maybe they contracted that in CK2, they brought it over, I'm sure with a splash of syphilis as well. This is abnormally bad though. This explosion isn't really supposed to happen in Europa Universalis, so I'm expecting colonization to be a little bit slower from that continent, maybe allowing some other places to get over this way. But you know what? This region isn't any worse off. It's, for the most part, the same. A lot of division over here, but I did want to mention that this is actually Irish culture. I know that it was technically Scotland that took over, but apparently it was a Scotland that really enjoyed Lucky Charms. Now, just to be clear, there is no HRE. I thought for a second there, because of these borders, that it might have slipped in, but no, this is all natural. France might as well just become Scandinavia. They should probably just give up on Western Europe. These are the only borders they have that are actually next to each other. And I don't think the explosions are done just yet, because I'm seeing a lot of independent nations pop out of Mongolia, as well as this Ming, or China basically. Surprisingly, the only region that looks kind of okay is India. And I will definitely admit that there are some strong powers that can come out of this place. We do now have a clear great powers list, which unsurprisingly, 2 out of the top 3 are actually from India. Byzantium's not too far behind though. So it took about 150 years, but I think Europe is finally starting to get it together. Things are looking better, besides the West. West still has a lot of work, but the East looks all right. And we're actually seeing Alba once again kind of dominate up this way. But as for these other people who will eventually get kicked out, they're gonna be all right. They're also of some sort of Irish culture, and they're just taking their stuff down towards Iberia. Actually, not only that, they're one of the first Europeans to make it to the New World, and they've got a pretty nice colony over here too. Ooh, okay, so this is what I was talking about. Because the world was so divided, it allowed India to take a lot of Australia as well as parts of Indonesia. Oh shit, okay, make that also California and soon to be Alaska. Being from LA myself, I can already hear the tunic guy. Still kind of early to tell, but it seems like we will see a Russia. I don't know how powerful they'll be, but yeah, these guys will more than likely form that nation. And here comes the Romans. Okay, good. I was getting a little worried. I wasn't sure if they were gonna make it over here, but they're late bloomers and they have to travel a little bit further than a lot of the other Europeans. So they have a big portion of Colombia, a lot of the Caribbean, and then Mexico, Texas, New Mexico. I mean, this is probably their biggest colony so far. And they're actually in Chile as well, but there isn't much competition over here, so I'm expecting they're gonna do all right. These English colonies probably won't be protected very much. And of course, we will have a Brazil, except it's gonna be a very different Brazil. What year is it? Finally, Europe is bearable to look at, and I think Byzantium is probably the most powerful, at least in this continent. Who knows what's going on in the rest of the world? And that's kind of what I expected. Because their overlord wasn't that powerful, they weren't able to control these places. So Peru, Brazil, La Plata, they all got their independence. And in North America, it is kind of the same thing. The US and Canada are now free to do whatever they want. They're gonna have to fight through a lot of these Europeans though. I do wanna kind of thank this nation for doing just so well in colonization, because, I mean, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have all these free independent colonies. So thank you so much for doing well and then kind of falling apart at the end. I like how this Persian nation has just ravaged through East Africa, and I'm sure that's only going to continue. I don't think these natives are going to pose much of a threat. And it's starting to look like Byzantium is about to have a very scary neighbor. Besides Russia, Poland has taken a bunch of northern German territory, which is really valuable. They're going to be tough to stop. Now, in a lot of mega campaigns, China tends to do really well. Not so much this time around, not when they have like outside invaders like Japan and Bengal. Which also keep in mind the Japanese have a lot of tributary states, meaning they kind of just own this stuff. So they're actually reaching a lot further in China than it might seem. Wow. Okay, in the last 150 years, the US and Canada have kicked so much European ass. Like, they're not even in this continent anymore, or just barely, which I'm thinking this had something to do with it. I mean, it had to have. Byzantium has really been focused on South America. They've taken a lot of land up here, which makes sense. I mean, this is Latin America. Here's one final look at the world map here in 1836 before we head into the third game. Also, real quick, because this stuff isn't really gonna matter anymore, here's culture. Obviously, the Irish have really dominated the Western Hemisphere, as well as Orthodox. The Orthodox religion is by far the most popular this way. So as you can tell, some names have changed. We have Rome, Italy, France, Spain, Scotland now, and actually that's going to continue to happen here in Vicky 2. There's going to be a couple more places that probably pop up in this campaign. This is definitely going to make it a little bit easier to keep track of who's who, with Persia, India, Pakistan here, which Pakistan's kind of funny because they barely even control Pakistani territory. I mentioned this before in previous conversion videos, but keep in mind this is still wasteland. Just because we saw it in EU4 under the control of a certain nation, that wasn't the case. It was a little misleading. Yeah, this stuff is still up for colonization, which means in North America, there's some land still left. Kind of. Canada, India, US could get some stuff. I mean, even Rome, technically, which for their North American colony, they are really gonna need it. Now, Japan has changed a lot. A lot of the tributary states in EU4 have been integrated inside of their country, which I guess I definitely underestimated just how powerful they were in EU4. They're actually ranked 4th in this world, but don't count out some of these Chinese nations just yet. I know that, they hold a lot of the coastline, which is pretty good territory. They could possibly make a comeback. Here's the first war, and I feel like this conflict's gonna continue to pop up throughout the rest of this campaign. It's Poland versus Russia. Yeah, that's gonna be a rivalry I think that continues on until World War II. By the way, flags are super messed up. Like, most nations are definitely gonna have the wrong flag. Just kind of keep that in mind. It was the only way I was actually gonna be able to make this conversion video work. Yeah, but I think Poland is definitely gonna be able to hold their own. They're way up there in the rankings, and Russia is surprisingly not as high. Looks like the Roman North American colony managed to get all of Colorado. That's not that bad. I mean, India got everything else, but, they're making progress. Ouch. And the Indians have also taken a big old chomp out of Persia. that's unfortunate and kind of surprising. I thought the Persians were going to do really well with all that African territory. Now I'm thinking Scotland should be able to protect themselves pretty well here on the British Isles. I mean, they're the only ones here. The problem is, they're not going to do that much. I don't think they're going to win. They just didn't get enough colonies. I mean, all they have is like Central America and the Caribbean, which I would not be surprised if they lose. And actually, it'll probably be lost to the Romans. Which, speaking of the Romans, let's talk about the other Rome. The Rome that isn't holy or Roman or an empire. Either way, they took a big old chunk out of the Polish and, well, actually, they might be losing that stuff to France right soon. See, there is hope just yet for the Chinese Empire. I mean, somehow they got a lot of the coastline out of nowhere, but also they're gonna win another conflict with Japan. Well, it might be their first, I don't know. But either way, I don't know how they're doing this. Luckily, there will be no super overpowered Sweden that just dominates this campaign. We kind of dodged a bullet there. But it's gonna be Finland that maybe has an opportunity of unifying the Nordic lands. They still definitely gotta kick out France, though. Okay, Canada, what are you doing? How did you allow India to take so much land? I don't know if it's through war or like pathetic colonization. Actually, more than likely a little bit of both. Either way, you know, this could be really bad. If the US go through a civil war, which is possible still, it's gonna allow India to maybe take control of this continent and probably end up winning this game. Although at the same time, the Romans are just completely obliterating Brazil and Peru. They're continuing to lose wars. I think it's only a matter of time before these places get kicked out. Damn. And two big things in Western Europe. First of all, France has united with that other French nation, kind of bringing back that big, scary blue blob. And Scotland has turned into the British Empire. Yeah, it hurts. So again, this is a British Empire formed by Scotland with Irish culture. That's definitely a new one. Okay, I might have been overestimating India for like this entire like last 10 minutes. So they're losing some wars and they've already lost one. They're probably gonna lose another. That's a really big deal. And it's actually been world wars that they're losing. Not sure how many just yet, but they kind of allied themselves with the wrong person. Russia's like their only friend. So yeah, that was definitely kind of a bad idea. But at the same time, this universe has been real slow at developing certain ideologies. So the Communist Manifesto wasn't written until 1918. This dude Karl Marx didn't start writing this shit until he was almost 100 years old. I don't know if communism helped him find the fountain of youth or some shit, but he's about to turn to dust soon. Yeah, this is probably for the best. The HRE has turned into the Southern German Federation. Yeah, that's good. I thought we were gonna have like 2 Romes for this whole game. So I've been counting them, and technically there has been 4 world wars that has happened so far. And as I said, India and Russia continue to be allies. They lost a lot of the land. Japan got a bunch of territory. Obviously, some neighbors of India got some stuff too. And while the African continent is, I think, safe to say the worst I've ever seen, I guess you should have expected this doing a mega campaign, but holy shit, this is pretty bad. The Romans weren't able to completely unify this continent, but I mean, either way, Brazil and Peru are gonna be pretty insignificant. I don't think they're gonna do very much in Hoi 4. Here's one final look at the great powers, because we're not gonna be able to see anything like this in the next game, but Japan is technically number 1 out of nowhere. Again, India fell a lot, which I think is the reason why. China, though, is the massive comeback. I mean, they barely even existed when we first went to Vicky 2. Literally over the course of just 100 years, they became almost the strongest nation on Earth. There's surprisingly still quite a few nations that allow slavery. Yeah, that hasn't really been reformed too much. The big one being Russia. But Russia has had a lot of issues. Let's just let them have this one thing. Most of the world has no healthcare. None. Actually, the best nation as a whole is Burma, which is just low healthcare. And at the same time, pretty much unlimited work days. There is no like 8-hour, 10-hour, 14-hour limit. Oh, here we go. Here's a couple nice places, I guess. Anyways, you know, point is, this isn't necessarily the best Earth to live on in any nation, just if you're a human in general. Yeah, but you know, who cares about that? Here's one final look at the top 8, but again, I do just want to point out that it's not even really close between the first and second ranked nations. The Japanese are twice as strong as China. So here's when we decide a winner. Who will rule Earth for the next 1,000 years, I guess, if they can survive the alien invasion? The obvious answer seems to be Japan, but I think they're gonna have a tough time with China. Russia really worries me. I don't think they're strong enough at all to stand up to the Japanese Empire, which could be a pretty major issue. Unless maybe China and India get involved, they're gonna be pretty tough to stop. Personally, I want to say France is probably the biggest dark horse. Their neighbors aren't that strong. They could easily roll over Spain, Germany, and the UK. They just got to be careful of Poland. Of course, we always have to watch for North America. Just about any nation could probably win it from this continent here, except the US, who's the strongest, hasn't really been ranked in any of the previous games, actually. I'm really curious to see what role South America and Africa are going to play. Obviously, the nations from these continents aren't very powerful, but I think they'll still have a pretty big impact, one way or the other. Now, in order to make this as fair as possible, every nation in the top 8 got their own faction. That makes, I think, the most sense in terms of balance. It's not really fair when a bunch of nations kind of just team up and take out the smaller ideologies. And I think India is actually going to be the most important, since they're the strongest country with a more extreme ideology. They've gone fascist, obviously, from their team name. But how embarrassing would it be for Rome to lose kind of their own video? I mean, it's definitely possible. They ain't looking that great, and it's kind of depressing. I guess let's see if they can make up for it. Now, if you're wondering who some of the major communist countries are, I guess this shouldn't be much of a surprise, but since Karl Marx released his little manifesto here, Azerbaijan, fully commie, Persia next, and kind of surprisingly Brazil. I wasn't expecting that one, but okay. And it looks like the two Irish nations, or the two nations that started off in the British Isles, that might sound a little bit less weird. They've put their differences aside, and they've formed a team, since they're actually the only Western monarchies kind of still around. Well, I guess besides Rome. But that was kind of the obvious one. Of course, they were going to go down this path. And they've got a cool-ass portrait. I don't mean to put more pressure on you guys, but now you got to do good. Oh, God. I really hope this isn't a bad omen. Finland, why do you have Sweden's flag? I really hope that's just a coincidence. This flag situation kind of sucks, but I guess there's a chance that they might just be super overpowered now. Here's the first conflict leading up to World War V, and this could be very bad because these guys are actually allied to Rome. Oh, they got lucky. Oh, they took them out real quick, which is kind of what they needed to do, but that could have been really bad. Like, all of communism could have been wiped out pretty early on here. Interesting. So the Romans have decided to attack Ukraine, which, I mean, that's gonna be pretty easy. They're pretty much undefended. Still, kind of an odd choice. Or it actually might be a little bit harder than I'm thinking. Because, well, yeah, the Romans have no troops. Maybe they put all the divisions that were supposed to be here in some sort of gladiator game instead. And the only country willing to help out and secretly invade Ukraine, and I guess be a major part of their downfall. Yep. Shocker. Well, that's bad. That is really bad. I really hope the Romans don't have too many divisions in America, just because they're about to have a very big fight against Poland. Damn! Okay, wait a second. Not only against Poland, but Germany, India, and China joined in as well. Which this can happen in mega campaigns whenever we get to Hoi 4. Everyone kind of just tends to pile on. So far, this war has been really intense. I mean, the Balkan battle is kind of everything for Rome. If they lose this region, they're kind of done here. I guess that helps. Kind of. I mean, I don't really know. That's a small nation in North Africa. Thanks, little buddy. I guess they are going to get a little bit of help from the UK, Japan, and Canada, of all places. They probably just sent in their divisions over so they can help Rome apologize. Oh, that's right. Okay, so there goes all of Roman Colorado, Roman Arizona, Roman Mexico. Yeah, that's all gone. There's pretty much going to be 4 major players in this continent, which, I mean, the UK still barely count, to be honest. It's really going to be between India and the US, I think. Here's the scary part. The Romans are actually pushing. I don't know how they're doing this. They're fighting Germany, Poland, Ukraine, and a bunch of volunteers, maybe even some Indians over here. But even with all that, they're still slightly making progress. I don't know why they did this, but the UK must be pretty desperate for oil. I think they're using that American strategy. And it looks like India has now set their sights on the UK. So the Romans now have at least a much more significant ally. Kind of. They're not going to be on the same team, but they're working together. And finally, the last great Eastern War is about to begin. This is huge because obviously these are like the top 2 nations. This is probably the biggest war yet. Holy shit. Talk about anticlimactic. What the hell happened? Literally 1 month. 1 month is all it took, and the Chinese just fell. By the way, now everyone that's attacking Rome is now deciding to attack the UK. Before it was just India, but at this point, the Germans and Polish have joined in. Of course, this fight was bound to happen, and it's kind of a smart move by the Americans. If they take out Canada, they've got more territory. They might at that point be able to take on India. There are 2 new nations that have decided to join the Central Powers, which in this world is actually a democratic team, Persia and the US. while the Canadians have joined the Allies. Oh damn, I forgot about this. So that means the UK is gonna get called into the war. The Americans are gonna have to fight 2 different fronts. That is not gonna be easy. Which, speaking of 2 different fronts, Rome is now dealing with the same thing. North America really kind of altered this World War V, especially with all these new faction members. Russia's now attacking the Teutonic Order, which it's amazing that these guys are still alive in the 1940s. Both nations are gonna be forced to join a side. And we have our answer, which I guess it should have been pretty obvious. So Poland's gonna back them up. It doesn't even matter at this point if Russia doesn't join anything, which they will either way. But I guess the Romans are gonna be getting help from, well, Third Rome. Now, if you don't know what that is, I completely understand. It's super weird. Third Rome refers to a doctrine in Russia that Moscow succeeds both Rome and Byzantium. Obviously, everyone and their mother tried to claim this same thing, but yeah, this is Russia's own version of it. And the US is dead. I repeat, the US has died at the hands of the UK, but mostly Canada. And now together, they've both decided to attack India. And this will obviously decide the winner for this continent. There it is. It is confirmed. 2 Romes will come together. I mean, it only makes sense out of all the Roman spin-offs. At least one of them's got to team up. I'm so sorry, Poland. This was your moment. Or at least I thought it was. I thought you were finally going to make it into space. I guess not yet, but eventually. Eventually. But this is going to be a very big problem, though. So finally, the war's broken out between the Japanese and Russia. I think that Japan should have no problem here, but Russia's gotten a lot stronger with time, and with Rome's help, they might be okay. Here's one out of a lot of peace deals, and this is probably the most significant. So we obviously don't know who's puppeting most of this stuff, but we're gonna find out as World War V finally comes to an end. Actually, here's one more, which again, a lot of puppets. I don't know who's taking all this stuff. So here's the map, post-apocalypse, I want to say. I mean, that was a huge conflict. I mean, wars happening in every single continent, even in South America. We didn't cover it that much, but Brazil was going after Roman territory. Either way, here it is. I guess it was winner take all, because it was only one place that got all of this stuff. And it was just so obvious. I guess I should have realized. I didn't think they were going to get this landslide of a peace deal, but Russia took everything. It makes sense to me because, I mean, they saved Rome's ass. Rome was doing great, they survived for a long time, but they were fighting a 2-front war, and at that point, they were eventually gonna die. Also, you probably saw that Russia was puppeted. That is correct. Russia was puppeted by themselves. I guess they needed a taste of their own juices. Obviously, there's really only one more thing to do. Let's find out who wins between these 2 Romes. They were in the same faction, but obviously they were just gonna dominate everyone. Let's break them apart and see who wins. And the problem is it won't ever be 1v1 because Russia has like all the puppets in the world, but you know what I mean. They're gonna dominate either way. It's already over, and just like General Grievous, Russia has decided to just add to their collection. Rome has been puppeted, of course, and they are now rulers of the Pack of Rome. This is all the shit they control. I don't know what's up with mega campaigns. Like, I don't know how they continue to be so unpredictable. Was anyone really expecting this? That's what I want to know. Like, again, I didn't even really pay attention that much to Russia. They kept getting their ass kicked in the last campaign, so I didn't think they were going to have much of a chance. I also need to just stop saying stuff. Every time I say something, every time I predict, like, a certain nation's not going to do well, they always do well, and they end up making me look so dumb. I'm just going to stop saying my opinion, just in general. I think that'd be for the best. Might as well, just to make it really, really clear, they are the victor. But I will say, I think the UK might have got a close second. I mean, last time we gave second place to Mexico, but in this video, I'm thinking, yeah, the British in second and maybe the Canadians in third. Remember, this is a fascist Russia, so they're gonna be very aggressive in space. I actually feel really sorry for the humans, even more than I did before. I mean, you saw their living conditions. Plus, the Russians even had slaves. Oh shit. Man, these rulers are gonna be horrible. I just wonder how much the Russians were channeling their Inner Mongolia. Obviously, that empire was a pretty big deal for this universe. You know, although the Russians didn't get all the way down to India or Africa, so they still have some work to do. At some point, Russia will control the entire globe, but for now, I wonder how they're gonna deal with the New World. A lot of strange cultures over here, like Irish, Greek, Visigothic. But remember, the Western Hemisphere is mostly Orthodox, so that'll help. We didn't really see much out of Africa, although there are some nations that, if you think about it, did very well compared to like what they started with. they deserve some credit. Ultimately though, the British Isles had the biggest improvement from the last video, this Scottish, Irish United Kingdom. You could argue that they kind of decided who exactly was going to win here. India might be the biggest disappointment. They started off so well in EU4, but they couldn't get the job done. And every game we go into, I feel like it always shifts the balance of power. Anyways, guys, we have to give humanity about 250 years to kind of discover space travel and, you know, do all the futuristic technology stuff. There's gonna be a small gap in the timeline, but just know Russia's going around enslaving the entire planet. So we're looking at the Milky Way galaxy, and it looks like Earth is actually in a pretty good position. It can kind of pop up anywhere, but this is not a bad location to be. I would say this is an okay start. So Earth has probably been depleted of all its natural resources, and, you know, as I said, it's not the greatest planet to be on if you're a human. Or I don't know, I mean, maybe certain Romans/Russians are getting special treatment. So this is gonna be an extremely different Stellaris campaign from the previous mega campaign. Almost the exact opposite if you think about it. I mean, we've got some very interesting governing ethics, civics as well. It's safe to say this nation's gonna be very aggressive. Of course, they're also fascist as well, basically just a dictatorship. So this one leader is gonna be ruling until his death. He looks like he's gonna be a pretty nice guy. It's actually not as bad as I thought too. On the surface of Earth, only half the population is enslaved. Not bad. I would take those chances. Again, just like last time, they're gonna have to first start off colonizing our own solar system, then they can eventually get to Alpha Centauri, maybe Barnard Star, and I believe there's actually a few more real systems next to them. And this is what the Milky Way galaxy actually looks like without any fog of war, all these different alien species. Again, Russia is pretty secluded. As I said before, it's like all these different intelligent life forms just won their own mega campaigns, and this is gonna be like the playoffs to see who is the ultimate winner in this galaxy. Which actually, that is kind of the case with these guys. Sweden has returned. Again, if I continue to do these mega campaigns, I'd like to just continually fill them out with previous winners. This is a very different Sweden though. I changed around this empire to show like how they ended their Stellaris run, not necessarily how they began. The Russian Space Empire has just colonized their first system outside of their original starting system, and there's gonna be plenty more where that came from. Let's look into Russia's closest neighbor. I wanna see how aggressive they are, and if they're gonna give our little empire any trouble at all. So they some bird people, and they actually have very, very similar traits to our third Rome space nation. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get along with these people. Just for anybody wondering, I am definitely looking for Ulm. I don't know if Ulm has made it in this video. They certainly didn't show up in EU4. I'm sure they're probably just too busy dominating other dimensions. It looks like Sweden actually might have an even better location than Russia. They're really secluded, and they don't have any, like, scary empires next to them. So they actually might be okay in this game. I mean, about 20 years in space, and so far they have 21 citizens, 4 planets, whereas Russia, yeah, they're lagging behind. I feel like they're already running out of room towards the south, these damn birds. I think the humans are just gonna have to move up north. Now we will be making it to an endgame crisis, which means some horrible thing is gonna come out of nowhere and possibly kill the entire galaxy. Basically, they're gonna be interdimensional demons. I just took a look at some of these other neighbors, and there's good news and bad news. These guys, who look like Sweden, they're just as militaristic as the birds. So that's unfortunate, but at least these aliens are actually pretty chill. They're pacifists. Hopefully they won't give Russia too much trouble. These are some interesting borders that this Star Dynasty has. I really like the shaft. The shaft is quite large. So we're about 50 years into it, and Russia now has 7 worlds colonized and almost 60 pops. That's pretty good, they're making progress. There is some sort of species that they're enslaving though. Damn, it did not take them long at all to get that. They appear to be some sort of horse thing. They found a whole lot of them too. They are intelligent and they like the desert. These things are not gonna enjoy those Russian winters. Oh man, and most places, almost every single one of them just hates humans, which I can't blame them. We don't necessarily have the nicest reputation. By the way, I forgot to mention that they kind of brought back like Latin names. I don't know, I just thought it'd be cool, and it makes sense for the theme of this video. Sweden still has a lot of unclaimed space. I'm wondering if their neighbors are pretty chill. Either way, I mean, they might get a whole lot bigger. I don't think they're gonna stop there. Whereas Russia, on the other hand, is already locked down. yeah, they're not going anywhere. But I will say, at least this nation is a little bit better at adapting to the situation. They're militaristic, so they can just bust through one of these empires. So far, and kind of unsurprisingly, this hive mind, this devouring swarm group of aliens, they have the most population at about 130, but Russia's not too far behind. And that's actually a really good sign. I guess each individual in this nation thinks alike. They all share the same mindset or something like that. They're not necessarily aggressive. I don't know how long it took me to realize that this is an actual empire. They kind of blend in. I was gonna say, like, why is no one colonizing the center of the galaxy? We also, of course, have 4 fallen empires. They're like these different species that have just been chilling for a really long time. Ancient caretakers, militant isolationists, holy guardians, and then enigmatic observers. They're also reptilian. So you guys created Facebook. There's still so much of this galaxy left to be eaten up, and I know there's a chance that Russia could maybe find a way around here. I don't know, like a wormhole or something can pop them out over this way. That might be best case scenario for them. Surprisingly, humans are somewhat making friends. That's a lot better than I thought. I mean, it's just a non-aggression pact and like a trade deal, but it's better than nothing. Earth is completely full of people, like they can't fit any more people on this damn planet. They are also continuing with the whole like slavery thing, but it doesn't seem to be as much. And also, you know what? I bet you these people are getting plenty of vodka anyways. Oh my God, did you guys kill off the horses? You guys killed off the horses. They were like a sizable percentage here, and now they're all gone. They must have found a gulag planet. Or actually, even better, I think this is a much better alternative. They found a natural wormhole, which means they're probably just sending them across the galaxy and letting them die over there. Oh, you know what? Sweden made a friend. Sweden made a friend, not surprising. I think that was kind of needed too, because these guys look like they were starting to take some planets away. Why am I not surprised? That just seems to be the favorite faction term around here. Oh, and it was Sweden that came over this way. Wow, you guys kind of screwed Russia. Not really. Russia didn't even have a chance to get over this way, but still surprised it was you guys that came all the way over here. And someone is taking small bites out of this pacifist alien species. I believe it's the hive mind, but Russia might be doing some damage as well. Man, and they're just really jamming in those people too. Only 12 planets colonized, but 215 pops. I mean, I guess if it's any nation that requires meat shields, it's definitely these guys. A second faction has now just popped up, and they actually have more members than the first one. There's 3 over here. Actually, yeah, they're looking pretty good. While Russia has clearly been winning some wars, and I think they desperately needed that. If they stayed stagnant for too long, yeah, they were likely to be eliminated. And it is the end game. It's the end game, and you know, those demons that I talked about popping up, well, they've arrived. And I kid you not, their only goal in this universe is to devour every single piece of existence. And I guess it's just because they can. I mean, look at this shit. Yeah, why not? If you got some super crazy ass looking ships, you might as well just kill everyone. I really don't know what any of this means, but yeah, I'm assuming this is really scary. Very scary. But it is kind of late in the game. We'll see exactly how big they can get. The hive mind people are gonna immediately regret cutting Sweden in half. I mean, I'm sure they enjoyed it at the time, but now they're probably gonna pay the price. I don't know if they're planning on just sending their ships in every single direction. Or are they that powerful? They don't gotta like focus their efforts on one place. Maybe. Damn, not even that long. Just maybe a decade. And yeah, this unbidden thing has a really sizable chunk of the galaxy. Anyways, this is what they look like. Again, there's a part of me that's thinking this is just Ulm. Yeah, no, this is definitely just Ulm. Here's the thing though, about 100 years have passed, and for the most part, that stuff's been contained. I mean, yeah, they've taken a lot of damage, and they might eventually die, but it doesn't matter, I mean, because they've already taken the wind out of their sails. And Russia did end up getting over this way. That is so perfect. I don't know how they got this, but I guess it's just the Alaska of the Milky Way galaxy. And I want to say Russia probably got about 3rd place, which isn't bad at all. I mean, I think that they were a little bit more geared towards doing really well just because they were going to be a lot more aggressive than Sweden, and that was clearly the case. Of course, these Russian high humans would have this. I mean, regular Russians have this, don't they? Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this mega campaign. I've wanted to do this for a really, really long time with all 5 games, and I really appreciate all your support. If you want to see me do more, I might. It really depends. These are very, very hard to do. But once again, let me just thank Wonder Productions. This would not be possible without him. I am not smart. I'm not smart at all. And obviously converting between different games, there's a lot of technical things behind it, and I am just not intelligent enough to handle it. And secondly, the team that actually builds these converters, it builds the software. I mean, they're doing incredible work. Please, if you want to learn more, I'll leave a link down below. I know they're always accepting help or donations. I mean, they're literally one of the best parts of the Paradox community. So definitely go check those links. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. And big thanks to Elfie C, Elijah Senpai, Roosterification, Jen's Love Disc, Mr. Flying Sloth, Swiss Argo, Maxi G, Yeet God McNeckass, King Solomon, Alfonso M, Daddy Seabeans, Ben Moke, Abraxas, Delta Aurora, Princess Emma, Tanner of the Nazareth, Raging Fruit, David Diaz, Papa Stalin of the Paintbrushes, Free Cruise, and Hatman.